What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another highly combustible reaction. We are jumping into something. Classics Explained. Get over show Classics Explained, all the love in the world. If you haven't done so already, links inside the description. Shout out to Brian for the request. We're going to be learning more about Igor Stravinsky's The Rite of Spring, which we have definitely heard, and it's definitely one of those ones that sticks with you for a while. Let's go on this journey together. See what we got.
Monsieur Diaghilev, surely you're not asking me to conduct music like this? I can't endure much more.
Tell me, Maestro Stravinsky, does it last a very long time this way?
To the end, my dears! He's raving mad, I tell you, raving mad!
I can see that people probably thought that he was a lunatic. Legitimately, because, I mean, it was a little...
Igor Stravinsky's Rite of Spring is so raving mad that its premiere a year later leads to the most notorious riot in the history of modern music.
He rioted? At no point listening to it did I think, man, we need a riot.
Born in 1882 near St. Petersburg, he becomes a law student but fancies learning music in his spare time. Having Daddy Stravinsky as a famous singer has its perks. He grants young Stravinsky access to the best teacher imaginable, none other than Rimsky-Korsakov, Russia's most famous composer. Rimsky thinks highly of Stravinsky, but he's less impressed with another of his students, Sergei Diaghilev. Though in 1909, it's Stravinsky who needs Diaghilev, not the other way round, because Stravinsky is a virtually unknown composer, and Diaghilev, well, he's a highly established music impresario. That year, Diaghilev's on the hunt for some fresh talent to write a ballet for his newly established Ballet Russe. He hears Stravinsky's compositions at a St. Petersburg concert. He takes a punt on him and Stravinsky comes up with The Firebird, which Diaghilev's legendary ballet company stages in 1910. It's an overnight sensation, and the experience teaches Diaghilev two things.
The animation and the humor involved in this is everything.
One, that he's onto something with the young composer. Two, that his high society Parisian audiences have a certain view of Russians as primitive, untamed representatives of an exotic culture. How about another ballet by Igor Stravinsky that exploits this prejudice like never before?
Oh no.
Diaghilev teams Stravinsky up with the ideal man for this job, his set and costume designer, Nicholas Roerich. Roerich's a kooky mystic and expert in Russian folklore. Together they devised The Rite of Spring in 1911. It will depict a group of Slavic tribespeople celebrating the advent of spring with pagan dances and ritual games. It's to climax with a sacrificial maiden dancing herself to death to appease the gods of spring. Stravinsky spends the next year and a half composing the piece in a tiny rented room in some small Swiss village. He writes it for a gargantuan orchestra of 100 musicians. They're barely able to fit in the orchestra pit of the Théâtre des Champs-Élysées, the brand new theatre in Paris at which the ballet is to premiere. Tensions run high during rehearsals because the music's so complicated. Musicians...
Have you heard it? It was complicated. It was extremely complicated and kind of dark. And if it's not something, I guess back then, if you were playing a certain kind of way, there were things that you expected, and I guarantee you they didn't expect that.
Keep complaining of mistakes in the score, but when Stravinsky assures them that there are none and that the orchestra's to play what's written, they laugh at him, thinking he's gone crazy. 29th of May 1913, opening night, and the theatre's packed with Parisians eager to experience a slice of savage, prehistoric Russia. A haunting melody opens the piece. It's based on a Lithuanian folk song. But just what's that instrument playing the solo? Camille Saint-Saëns's in the audience, and he asks his neighbour, who informs him it's bassoon. Well, if that's a bassoon, replies the veteran composer, I'm a baboon! It's just so rare to hear the bassoon given a solo, even more unusual for it to play such high notes. It's Stravinsky's attempt at mimicking the strained, harsh tones of primitive village instruments. For this story takes place in rural Russia, where spring is coming and a thaw is setting in. The thick Russian ice begins to crack, revealing the green shoots
A little Ice Age shout out right there. Is that what it was?
of elemental life stirring in the soil beneath. Woodwinds slither and coil like plants bursting into bloom. Pizzicato strings flutter like wings. An oboe chirps like a bird tweeting on a single note. Up high, flutes and clarinets imitate birdsong across this wild rainforest of sound. Down below, the bass clarinet impersonates the ribbit of a frog. There's no discernible rhythm, it's as free and wild as nature itself. Strings enter and we get the first hint of a pulse, the pumping of lifeblood through this ancient landscape. Cellos whisper a ghostly chord before the curtain rises to reveal a crowd of pagan tribesmen gathered in the hills. They stamp their feet to a rigid machine-like rhythm. The horns stab like daggers on unexpected beats, making the music feel irregular. The harmonies sound brutal and clashing because they're bitonal, essentially meaning we're in two different keys at once. Bassoons chant as an old woman enters. She's a fortune teller who can predict the mysteries of nature. Piccolos let out a primal scream. A folk tune from the horn sounds as the young maidens arrive from the river. They walk in single file, knock-kneed with turned-in feet and sharply raised elbows. Diaghilev's choreographer Vaslav Nijinsky knew he had to ignore all the rules of classical ballet to capture this primeval world of pagan dancing. But it's too much for the audience. When the women lean their heads awkwardly against their hands, there's a shout from the auditorium, "Call a dentist!" The auditorium erupts with laughter. The socialite snobs, bedecked in jewels and fur, boo and hiss from their boxes. These smart aristocrats expected to see some fluffy classical ballet. Down below, the arty-farty bohemians shout them down. They'll praise anything radical to show their hatred for the moneyed fashionistas. Amongst them are composers Claude Debussy and Maurice Ravel, who shouts out, "Genius, genius!" Stravinsky rises from his stool seat, disgusted at the catcalling. "Go to hell," he cries out before running backstage. He steadies Nijinsky, who's standing on a chair in the wings, shouting out cues to the dancers. They're unable to hear the music because the orchestra's been drowned out by the uproar, so Nijinsky's resorted to stamping out the beat. Eventually, the dancers surrender to the rhythms of an ecstatic groove. The beating
In my mind, it was chaotic. It was. But it wasn't anywhere near as chaotic as this. If this is what actually happened. If it was actually like people losing their damn minds. This is crazy. This is the kind of things that we don't know going into something. Anytime we take on a new classical piece, it's always absolutely blind. I don't want to know anything. I don't go do research of anything. I just kind of want to let it take me wherever it's going to take me. This is like way, way more chaotic than where the actual piece took me.
of drums signals the start of the ceremonial games. The tribesmen hunt the young maidens in a ritual of mock abduction. Horns snarl a hunting call as the tribesmen drag the women off by their hair. Flutes and piccolos play the part of the prey. The music's breathless. The unpredictable pulse wrong-foots us at every turn. By now, Diaghilev's switching the house lights on and off to try and quell the growing disturbances. It's a reaction he expected, perhaps even hoped for he instructs the conductor to keep the orchestra playing till the very end. Trilling flutes usher in a horovod, a solemn dance in honor of spring. A funky bass line weighs the music down, as much as Nijinsky's choreography, which pulls the dancers down to the ground. It's the opposite of classical ballet, in which ballerinas aspire upwards and fly gracefully across the stage. Nijinsky's barely lift off the ground, stressing the sacredness of the earth on which they stand, humanity's dependence on the soil beneath. Now the pagan men split into rival tribes. They oppose each other in a furious fight. Shrieking trumpets and hammering timpani also fight for attention in the orchestra. Tubas announce a ceremonial procession of wise elders. Their theme plays in cross rhythms with other instruments, including the Latin American guiro that rattles to a different background beat. The head sage brings a pause to the games. He reaches down to the earth to bless it with a kiss. A strange hushed chord bleached of colour. Bass drum and tam-tam crash with earth-shattering intensity. It's as though the sage's kiss has split the ground, vomiting out some gooey lava. The tribe perform a frenzied dance in celebration of their becoming one with the earth. It's no real melody, it's just a bunch of rhythmic urges that jostle between different sections of the orchestra. The audience is still yelling, and the police have started making arrests. Two furiously arguing spectators in navy.
This would have been there, wanted to be there for opening night. Let me tell you, that sounds like I want to be there and see something like that happen firsthand. People going against the grain is one thing. This man was obviously sandpapering it up, really, really getting under some people's skin. That's what happens when you...
Brewing boxes have even agreed to a duel the following morning.
What?
Sanson, previously baffled by that bassoon, storms out in anger. He's decided the whole piece is baffling. The ballet now enters the stillness of night as the earth falls into deep slumber. The music's eerie, it's hypnotic. You might recognise it from John Williams' Tatooine music in Star Wars. Stravinsky's Rite had an incalculable influence on film composers.
Holy crap, I never even thought about that.
We see the shadowy figures of the young maidens playing a mysterious game under the stars. They walk in circles to a whispering folk tune, working out which of them will be the chosen one, the one who's to placate the gods of spring by doing the sacrificial dance. The maidens wear long braided wigs and crude peasant clothes. Not an inch of skin showing, Nicholas Roerich's costumes were far from the graceful tutus and tights of classical ballet. When one of the maidens falls outside of the circle, 11 thuds announce that she's to be the sacrificial lamb. The others have been let off the dance of death today. Majestic brass and drum rolls announce the return of the village elders. They invoke the ancient spirits of their ancestors. The sages make ritual preparations for the sacrifice of the chosen one. And so begins her dance to the death. The chosen one convulses in an unstoppable vortex of ritual motion. The council of elders, dressed in bearskins, watch on, united in bloodlust. Whereas most composers had up to this point in time used melody and harmony to drive forward the action, Stravinsky makes rhythm the driving force here. His use of the orchestra as one big percussion instrument was very original. He places silences in all the unexpected places. He changes the time signature every bar to create an electrifying, off-kilter beat. It reflects the chosen one staggering and stumbling as she becomes increasingly exhausted. Eventually, we hear her heart pumping out of her chest. It's mimicked by the timpani beating out of sync with the rest of the orchestra. A moment of quivering silence as she falls to the ground and snaps her neck before we hear the final chord, whose notes spookily spell out the word dead. Though the Rite of Spring shocked and enthralled its audience in equal measure, Stravinsky's true genius was recognised a few months later when he presented it as a standalone work. On that occasion, he was hailed the Prince of the Avant-Garde. He was carried triumphantly out of the concert hall, through the streets of Paris on the shoulders of his admirers. They acknowledged that Stravinsky's wild harmonies, violent dynamics, and unprecedented treatment of rhythm pushed the frontiers of musical possibility further than ever before. The Rite of Spring brought music back to its primal origins, using folk tunes and rhythmic rituals to transport the audience to a time and to a place when people danced to celebrate their relationship to the earth. It revealed to Parisians a primitive society from Russia's distant past. But the irony on that evening of the 29th of May, 1913, is this: that it was the modernity and sophistication of the piece that shocked the audience, and it was they the beau monde of Paris, who considered themselves so thoroughly civilized, so tolerantly modern, who in fact became the savage barbarians.
I don't know what
Well,
I was
that's it.
expecting, but
Thanks
it
for
wasn't
watching.
that.
Follow our channel, leave your feedback, and most importantly, enjoy classical music.
I 100% get over and follow the channel. Go
After
show classics
over 30
explain all
Fancies
the
learn-
love in the world. Links inside of the description. That's what this is all about. I'm glad we got introduced to them because there are some pieces out there that are so combusticating, like just everywhere. It makes you feel every kind of emotion. Some make you feel anger. Some there's always a story about what was going on in the composer's life at the time. There's always somehow kind of how the hell we got here moment, and we don't learn about that. We listen to the tracks. I tell you what I think they make me feel. Sometimes I'm right. Sometimes I'm probably completely wrong. But is there really a right and wrong when it comes to it? Don't you really just kind of walk away with however you feel? Everyone's gonna feel something different. But I enjoy knowing the backstory. I can see that it would have pissed some people off. That it would have made some people crazy. People that were dedicated to this craft that were like, oh, this is the way we do things. And then somebody says, well, we're gonna do it like this now, and throws everything off. I can totally see people losing their minds. But I had no idea it was gonna get that chaotic, that crazy. Definitely Go Show Classics explain all the love in the world. It's really underrated on YouTube. Amazing animation, amazing humor. Hit the like button if you liked it. The dislike button, but it won't believe you. Tell the next one of my Combustible. You guys be happy, healthy, safe, but let me to the moon and back. Peace.